Welcome to the Morning Mindset. I trust you are ready to face this day with confidence and strength and trust in your God. The Morning Mindset is here to help you do exactly that. If you would love to be a supporter of the Morning Mindset, you can find out more about how to do that by looking at the description in your podcast app or player, or you can go to careygreen.com/support and find out more. We are jumping ahead in our study of the book of Romans. I never really intended to go verse by verse through the entire book of Romans, as should have been evidenced by the fact that I started in chapter number 8. But I'm skipping ahead to chapter 11, the very end of chapter 11, because I want us to start thinking about some new subjects, some new topics that are helpful for the way that we live our lives on planet Earth. And we're starting out in Romans 11, verse number 33, in a place where the Apostle Paul has spent about a chapter and a half or a chapter and 3/4 discussing the role of Israel, of the Jewish nation, in God's plan. If you're interested in that, perhaps you're Jewish yourself and you would love to understand more about how Jesus relates to God's plan for the Jewish people, you can read Romans chapters 9, 10, 11. It's actually 2.5 chapters worth of Paul addressing the issue of what's happening with Israel in God's plan. And you'll come upon verse number 33 of chapter 11, which is where we're going to pick up here. He says, "Oh, the depths of the riches and wisdom and knowledge of God! How unsearchable are his judgments, and how inscrutable his ways." You know, I read that and I can just hear the Apostle Paul just kind of groaning in amazement as he says, oh, the depths of the riches and wisdom and knowledge of God. Do you ever take a moment to pause and consider that that is really true of the God that we get to serve? I think one of the most familiar ways or similar ways that I've felt that kind of thing is when I stand in a place like the edge of the Grand Canyon or at the base of the Grand Teton Mountains in Montana, or back where we used to live in Buena Vista, Colorado, just surrounded by 14,000-foot peaks. And I stand there and I look at the grandeur and the splendor and the amazement of creation that's stretched out before me. And I recognize the God who created that has got to be even more majestic, even more grand and wonderful than what it is I'm viewing. And there's this hush that comes over me, and this sense of awe and amazement as I look on it and recognize the God who's behind that, who spoke it into existence, has made himself available to me through Jesus Christ. And I feel that's kind of how Paul is feeling right here when he says, oh, the depth of the riches and wisdom and knowledge of God. He says it's a rich thing, it's a wise thing, and it's his knowledge that I'm just overtaken with. And then he says how unsearchable are his judgments and how inscrutable his ways. Now, do you understand what he's saying there? He's saying we try to figure out God. We try to understand God, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. In fact, we learn a lot in the process. But he's saying in the end, when we try to understand why God does what God does and why he allows things to happen that he allows to happen, it's unsearchable. There's a place in which we cannot find the reasons that we're looking for. And his ways are inscrutable. Inscrutable means we can't find fault in them. There's no way that we can point to something and say he shouldn't have done that, because it's far above us in terms of both comprehension and in the ability to judge. That is the God we serve. I wanted to start here in verse 33 of chapter 11 to set the scene for us. That Paul is about to instruct us in some mindset principles based on the reality of who our God is. Let's go today in security that that is our God.